Okay, well, this was my first full day down at the federal courthouse, and I actually found it a fascinating day. If y'all remember, in one of my videos I did, I was talking about how the judge can cherry pick the law, cherry pick the evidence, and cherry pick the verdicts. Well, guess what? She can also cherry pick the jury. Yes. She basically gave the prosecution everything they wanted. In at least one particular instance, I found just astonishing. I found it absolutely amazing. Okay, we got sirens all over us. Looks like a wreck in front of me, so I'm probably going to get blocked off here. But anyhow, yeah, the judge is the final arbitrator between the defense and the prosecution in the decision making of who's actually going to be a juror. And there are several cases that are really fascinating. One in particular, actually two in particular, where if you're going to strike somebody from the jury pool, you got to articulate the reason why. Well, the defense, basically what they were saying was, this guy's too good to be true. He's just too good to be true. That was, and then they go, well, that's not good articulation. And evidently in all of the questionnaires and the questions that were asked by the defense and the prosecution and the little display that the judge put on for the jurors, he answered everything just exactly the way the defense wanted, perfectly, too much so. And the judge, or the attorney, the defense attorney, basically said it's just too good to be true. Now here's where it gets really crazy. The judge says, well, I thought that's exactly what you would want. Since when is the judge going to do anything in our favor? So what do you think happened? They got on the jury poll. And yeah, I agree with the defendant, the defense attorney. This is, and he said repeatedly, it's a gut feeling. It's just basically the guy's too good to be true. In other words, what he's saying is, I think this guy's a plant. And then when the jury or the judge basically overruled him, he made the comment, there's a level of deception that's taken place here. That's an exact quote. There's a level of deception that has taken place here. I found that absolutely amazing. Okay? A level of deception is taking place here. The defense attorney said it. She didn't even blink an eye. Didn't even blink an eye. It makes no sense. It really does make no sense. Pretty much all of the observers are convinced, in fact, all of them that I talked to, the court observers, that there's some plans that are being taken place. They're putting some jurors in there, going to be plants in favor of the government. Okay, how do we know? We really don't. And I hope to God this just backfires on them, that this guy turns out to be, these two guys turn out to be everything they said they're going to be, basically in their questionnaires and the questions that they answered. So we'll see. Now, the prosecution, this is crazy. They brought up this gender bias and this ethnic group bias, and yet one of our attorneys said, well, out of the 10 people you struck, 8 of them were women. So who's really biased here? And when it first started out, when this whole thing first started out, the prosecution was right off the bat accused the defense of a gender bias. okay? That they're trying to get more women in the jury. And, but then it turns out they struck 80% of their women, that, or 80% of the people they struck were women. So they changed the bias. They flipped it. No, it's not a bias against women. It's a bias against men. This is hysterical. I'm sorry. It's hysterical. You know, I sit there and I listen to this and I marvel. I absolutely marvel at what's going on there. I was like, you know, what happened to the good old days where, you know, the prosecution says we don't want these people, the defense says we don't want these people, and the judge goes, okay, here's the 12 y'all decided upon. It don't work that way anymore. No, the judge is the final arbitrator who gets to make the decision. Now, how bad is that? I mean, to me, it's just one more thing that you have given this judge and the federal government to pack the court. It's just one more thing that's been given to them, right? I already thought it was impossible in the first place, the way things were set up previously. And then I come to find out, now the judge can also cherry pick the jurors. Are you serious? Oh my, you know, I don't even know what to think about it anymore. Okay, now, the thing I want to talk about next is Jeff Sessions being in town, Larry Klayman, Bob Barr, and a group of other heavy hitters like Roger Stone. These are heavy hitters. Now, Jeff Sessions got up today, and I didn't actually hear him myself. I still got to go listen to this. But a number of people said that he was in favor of the way prosecution handled things. But here's the biggie. See, but he said, I'm not taking a position one way or other. I'm not. And that, believe me, that is huge for the defense. Because once you understand how the federal government works and how federal employees work, one little thing like that, where he said, I'm not taking a position one way or another, and we know he's looked at it because Larry Klayman and him have been talking about it. And if you saw Infowars.com, where Larry Klayman got up and said that he has been talking to Jeff Sessions. And I don't really see how Jeff Sessions could have, at this stage of the game, said anything different than he actually did. So I'm not going to get upset about that. I'm really not. The fact that Jeff Sessions and Larry Klayman are here in town together with a few other heavy hitters speaks volumes on its own. I had the opportunity to talk to Andrea Parker. She went with Larry Klayman and Bob Barr to the prison and met with Clive and Bundy. Okay? There's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. And I'm not going to say it's all clear, because it isn't. I think we're going to get a better idea on the 15th when we're going to have all these heavy hitters and this get together, and I recommend everybody to come to it. Please be here if you can be here. All right? I think you're going to learn a lot more at that point in time. So I'm not going to get upset with what Jeff Sessions said. I really can't see him saying anything otherwise. They play this game. You know, I've watched this for, how old am I? I'm going to say 45 years. I've watched how this stuff works. And one little thing will speak volumes compared to everything else. The fact that Jeff Sessions said he is not going to take a position one way or other at this time speaks volumes. That, to me, that says a whole lot more than anything else. I could be wrong. I just don't believe so. Okay, now, okay, we got that out of the way. I'm excited about that. And dang it, if I didn't forget the last thing I wanted to talk about, there really is a lot of information that I think is actually starting to materialize. I think it's starting to come out. Oh, the other thing, yes. The first, Monday morning, starts at 9 o'clock. Monday morning, the trial does. The first witness is Sheriff Lombardo. Folks, I think that's huge. I really do. Because it was the sheriff's department that stopped the BLM. It was not the protesters, okay? The sheriffs interjected themselves into that, and they stopped it. Now, they're going to come out, of course, and they're going to say, well, we did it for safety reasons, safety purposes. That is immaterial. And I think that these defense attorneys are going to have a golden opportunity to present a case or present some evidence that it was actually the sheriff's. And I'll tell you why. Because the sheriff's department under Gillespie had already told the BLM they had no enforcement powers in Clark County, Nevada. And that coupled with the fact that also our state attorney, the governor, and their boss, the Department of Interior, told them the same exact thing. Their boss sent them a 7-page letter. Was it 5 or 7? I think maybe it was 5. Telling Dan P. Love, get out of there. You're breaking the law. I think that this is going to be an opportunity to bring this type of evidence out, which is huge because we've been denied, in the last trial at least, so much of the evidence is that we need to be brought out. Okay? So that was the last really big thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, this is getting interesting. It's getting, you know, I think there are things that are happening that are not disclosed at this time, or not out in front of the public at this time. As far as the judge, Gloria Navarro, she's still her little cute self up there, and she amazed. Actually, I'm amazed at this lady. She can smile and say some of the most outrageous things I've ever heard in my life. One thing is, you can have now there has been a major change. You can bring in the pocket constitution. See, and that's another big thing. Who told them that? Think about that. I mean, she didn't do that on her own. Somebody come down the pike. Somebody came down and told them that these guys, the people in the courtroom and the defendants can have the Constitution. So who was that told them that? See, that's one of those things that I think people really need to pay attention to, that something is happening in the background. Back to Judge Gloria Navarro. She's amazing in some ways. Probably the biggest way that I've ever seen it. She can get up there and say the most outrageous things and not skip a beat. And you're just sitting there and you're going, what did she just say? Did she really just say what I thought she just said? And then everybody goes, yeah, she just said that. So they're still just don't want the First and Second Amendment brought in, don't want it mentioned, nothing. Now, when I left the courtroom, it's pretty much over with. Steve Myrie, the prosecuting attorney, was arguing that he doesn't want the pocket constitutions to be in the courtroom again. Okay, now this is amazing. You know, here's a guy, a federal employee, supposedly takes an oath to uphold the Constitution, defended against all enemies, both domestic and foreign. This is a guy that's a Mormon, LDS church member. And in the LDS church doctrine, the Constitution is scripture. And anything more or less than that cometh of evil. And yet, he's in there right now arguing that he doesn't want those pocket constitutions brought into the courtroom. So, okay. That's pretty much it. I wanted to give you all just a quick update. Anything else that I missed, I'm sure, and I missed a lot. Andrea Parker and the other court observers, Ashley Jones, Schuyler, Roger Root, trying to remember them all, and I know I'm not going to remember them all. Neil Wampler, all taking notes, all taking lots of notes. And they would be able to give you a better update, especially Andrea Parker. She was pretty much livid at one time, and she called it. She said they're going to do whatever they can to get juror, I think it was 296 in there. If you all seen her update at around noon, she said they're going to get that juror in there, and they did. So I think that's great. She made the prediction. She called it, and it was amazing because while we're sitting there, I'm sitting listening, and I go, okay, when's 296 going to... The very last juror that she approved over the objection of the defense was 296. Okay, was that coincidental? Yeah, it could be. After everything I've seen, I do not believe that was coincidental. So right now, I'm of the opinion, the strong opinion, that they do have some ringers in this jury. Nobody knows for sure. Maybe it'll backfire them. Let's pray that it does. Okay? God bless everybody. Pay attention. A lot of neat things are starting to happen. We'll see you on Monday.